Hi everyone, thanks for being here today. We're going to talk about some really interesting themes related to identity in our text. We'll look at how getting everything you want can make you complacent, how people view Native American culture, the struggle between how others see us and how we see ourselves, the fight for recognition and humanity, the balance between strength and humility, the journey from our roots to modern society, the desire to belong, the complexity of our emotions, the struggle to be heard, and the puzzle of knowing and not knowing ourselves. I'm really excited to share these ideas with you, and I hope you find them as fascinating as I do. Slide 1. Identity and desire, the dangers of complacency. Let's start with our first theme, identity and desire. The quote I've chosen is, "You're cute and smart, and you've gotten everything you've ever asked for, and that makes you lazy and dangerous." This quote is from page 5, where Corliss is dealing with a fellow male student who appears to be hitting on her. The quote suggests that being attractive and intelligent, and having all your desires fulfilled, can lead to a lack of motivation and potentially harmful behavior. The image I've chosen for this slide is a person lounging with everything they could want around them, representing the dangers of complacency that can come from having everything handed to you. Slide 2. Perceived identity, the sentimental gaze on Native American culture. Moving on to our second theme, perceived identity. The quote I've chosen is, "White people looked at the Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls, the full moon, newborn babies, and Indians with the same goofy sentimentalism." This quote is from page 12, where Corliss is explaining the fact that while being a Native American can make her seem exotic to some, and she uses that to her advantage, it's not something that she wants to perpetuate when alone in her home. The quote suggests that white people view various things, including natural wonders, babies, and Native Americans, with a similar sense of naive or overly sentimental admiration. The image I've chosen for this slide is a collage of the Grand Canyon, Niagara Falls, a full moon, a newborn baby, and a stereotypical image of a Native American, representing the different things that are viewed with the same sentimental gaze. Slide 3. Identity conflict. The struggle between perception and reality. Next, we have the theme of identity conflict. The quote I've chosen is, "No matter what I write, a bunch of other Indians will hate it because it isn't Indian enough, and a bunch of white people will like it because it's Indian." This quote is from page 45, where Corliss is explaining the multifaceted aspect of being both a novelty to white people and at the same time a disappointment to the expected traditions put upon her by her community. The quote speaks to the struggle of trying to represent one's culture authentically, and the tension between internal and external perceptions of identity. The image I've chosen for this slide is a person torn between two sides, representing the tension between internal and external perceptions of identity. Slide 4. Recognition of identity, the struggle for humanity. Moving on to our fourth theme, recognition of identity. The quote I've chosen is, "Thank you for the acknowledgement of my humanity. A man like me doesn't get to be human much." This quote is from page 33, where the homeless man that Corliss had commissioned to help her find the house of Harlan was expressing his gratitude for her humane treatment. The quote suggests a struggle for recognition and humanity, perhaps due to prejudice or marginalization. The image I've chosen for this slide is a person reaching out for help, representing the struggle for recognition and humanity faced by many marginalized individuals. Slide 5. Dual aspects of identity, the strength and humility of a warrior. Next, we have the theme of dual aspects of identity. The quote I've chosen is, "On every mission, there is a time to be strong and a time to be humble." This quote is from page 40, where Corliss is reasoning with herself. She is checking her behavior because if she is expelled from the bookstore, she might not have anywhere she can converse with Harlan. The quote suggests the duality of strength and humility in the identity of a warrior, or perhaps in any individual navigating life's challenges. The image I've chosen for this slide is a warrior in a calm pose, representing the duality of strength and humility. Slide 6. Cultural identity, the journey from indigenous roots to modern society. Moving on to our sixth theme, cultural identity. The quote I've chosen is, "We who were once indigenous to this land must immigrate into its culture." This quote is from page 44, where Corliss is equating Harlan and herself as outcasts of the outcasts. Not only were they marginalized by their ethnic background, but they didn't fit in with their cultural peers either. The quote speaks to the experience of cultural displacement and the need to navigate and adapt to a new culture. The image I've chosen for this slide is a person standing at the edge of a city, representing the journey from indigenous roots to modern society. Slide 7. Identity and belonging, the quest for tribal acceptance. Next, we have the theme of identity and belonging. The quote I've chosen is, "But he wanted to be part of their tribe, the collective, so he drank the free drinks, and he laughed and sang and danced and performed his poems again and again." This quote is from page 52, where we are in a flashback with Harlan at the height of his career, and he explains his true motivations. The quote suggests a longing for acceptance and belonging within a community or tribe. The image I've chosen for this slide is a person being welcomed into a group, representing the quest for tribal acceptance. Slide 8. Emotional identity, the complexity of love, hate, and sorrow. Moving on to our eighth theme. Emotional identity. The quote I've chosen is, "I felt sorry for her and loved her and hated her all at the same time, you know." This quote is from page 55, where Harlan is explaining the mixed emotions he was feeling when seeing his birth mother. The quote speaks to the complexity of emotions and how they can coexist and shape one's identity. The image I've chosen for this slide is a heart with different emotions represented, showing the complexity of love, hate, and sorrow. Slide 9. Identity in silence, the unheard voice of a poet. Next, we have the theme of identity in silence. The quote I've chosen is, "If a poet falls in a forest, and there's nobody there to hear him, does he make a metaphor or simile?" This quote is from page 36, where Corliss is referring to Harlan and how he disappeared from the poetry scene and was now near his apartment. The quote speaks to the struggle of having one's voice heard and the role of the audience in shaping a poet's identity. The image I've chosen for this slide is a fallen tree in a forest, representing the unheard voice of a poet. Slide 10. The complexity of identity, the known and unknown aspects of self. Finally, we have the theme of the complexity of identity. The quote I've chosen is, "She knew the name of her tribe, and the name of her archaic clan, and her public Indian name, and her secret Indian name, but everything else she knew about Indians was ambiguous and transitory." This quote is from page 57, where Corliss is speaking with Harlan and their conversation is wrapping up, and he asks here what kind of Indian he is. The quote speaks to the complexity of identity, particularly in the context of cultural identity, and the tension between what is known and unknown, fixed and changing. The image I've chosen for this slide is a puzzle with pieces missing, representing the known and unknown aspects of self. In conclusion, we've explored various aspects of identity through the lens of these selected quotes. Each theme, from identity and desire to the complexity of identity, has offered us a unique perspective on the multifaceted nature of identity. We've delved into the complexities, conflicts, and nuances that shape who we are and how we perceive ourselves and others. I've included a works cited slide at the end of this presentation, where you can find all the sources that have contributed to this exploration. I encourage you to delve deeper into these sources if you're interested in further understanding the themes we've discussed today. Before I end this presentation, I would like to dedicate it to my friend Kristen Piestewa. Kristen has generously shared her culture and knowledge with me, enriching my understanding and appreciation of the themes we've explored today. Her insights have been invaluable in shaping this presentation, and for that, I am deeply grateful. Thank you all for your attention and engagement during this presentation. I hope it has offered you some food for thought on the complexities of identity and the many factors that shape it.